Jackson, Team Axo Nobel. Charles Caudrelier, Dongfeng Race Team. Xavi Fernandez, Team Mapfre. Dee Kafari, Turn the Tide on Plastic. Charlie Enright, Vestas 11th Hour Racing. David Witt, Sung Hum Kai Scallywag. And Bauer Becking, Team Brunel. Last time you won the race, you won as a crew. This time, as with the last edition, your skipper. What's the difference?
The salary. And
for the good of the bad. I was hoping for better info than that.
Okay, next to Charlie Enright, Vestas 11th Hour Racing. Charlie, you were a young, fresh team in the last edition. Now you move on with more experience, a little older in body and mind. Does this race take it out of you? And just tell us what your goals are for this edition.
Looking around, I think maybe we're still a young team, still a young and fresh team. But we got Bowie on Instagram over there, so.
Brad Jackson, skipper of Axo Nobel. I'm sure these aren't the circumstances that you would have ideally liked to be here, but just tell us, give us a little insight into what's going on and how the team feel back at base.
Yeah, well, no, you're right. But team-wise, we're just focusing on the race. Basically, we have the same team as we had before, except Simeon, but it's thanks to him that we have the team that we've got already. And so not too much has changed in the how we're going to work on board or crew morale or anything like that. So we're just, we've had a few days of, not sure what's going on, and now we're the last few days we're about to focus on, what we're here to do to do the race.
Dee Kafari, Turn the Tide on Plastic. Dee, I've got so many questions for you. I don't know where to start, but we're going to just choose one of them, which is that you've sailed around the world on your own 3 times, twice, in different directions. What happened with the Volvo Ocean Race? Did you get lonely and you wanted some friends on board?
It is nice to do it with friends. It makes a big difference when you've got people to share it with, and when things go bad, you've got extra pairs of hands to throw at it. And I like the difference with the Volvo Ocean Race is the intensity you race at, and that's the thing that gave me the buzz and made me want to come back into a team environment where the boat's pushing at 100% all the time. Even if you're down below, you know that the guys on deck are still pushing hard, and your peers around you, they punish any mistake a boat makes. So that pressure's on, and that intensity is what makes the Volvo Ocean Race for us and makes me want to come back.
David Witt, Sun Hung Kai Scallywag. David, what motivated you to enter this race and be here?
It's the best team sport in the world, I think. I got a really good commercial opportunity from Volvo, for Sun Hung Kai to be involved, and I couldn't find a better way to lose weight. As been recorded, I'm a lunatic, which is good because we're all lunatics together. The young kids started sailing dinghies, worked for me for 3 years and ended up here, so he still doesn't, he thinks he's dreaming. And Halsey can be the most positive and the most negative person in the same conversation, the same breath, so I'm looking forward to 45,000 miles of that. So.
And you just touched on madness. How crazy do you have to be to do this race, and why?
I'm finding it harder to stay on the shore and stay out of trouble at the moment, to be honest, but I think as long as you've got good people around you, the same as anything, it's not really. Went to the safety courses, more safe on this boat than any other boats I've ever sailed on. I've got that much equipment, I don't know how to use half of it. But Steve and I have done some math, and originally we wanted to sail with as minimum as we could. We think the boats are quite slow and underpowered compared to what they should be. And we think a lot of the marginal planning conditions, the lighter you are, we're going to be better. There's times where we're going to be slower being lighter, reaching. But we think overall we're going to have an advantage being lighter, and the crew's the only choice we got in the race. We've decided to go with 8 instead of 7, simply so I can give Steve a bit more support downstairs, because it is quite tough. Sailing the boat, we didn't find it that hard, but actually, being able to fill more than one role, it's quite hard. So we've got Anamika, who sailed with us before, who's another lunatic, which is perfect.
He's Dutch, mate.
I know. Do you know my grandmother's Dutch? Didn't know that, did you?
That's why we shoved her off to the way.
That's right. So we think there might be an advantage there. We're not rotating crew. I think this is a bit of a dream for me to have my own team, and it's certainly a dream for everyone in our team to be doing the race. And we don't want to rotate anyone. We want to give everyone an opportunity to do every leg together as a tight unit that we are.
Welcome to the Volvo Ocean Race. For the 4th consecutive edition, the eyes of the sailing world are focused on the Mediterranean city of Alicante. Thousands of race fans have been flooding through the village, rubbing shoulders with the teams in pit lane, meeting their sailing heroes and absorbing the charged atmosphere provided by the imminent start of racing.
Nautical miles through the Mediterranean to the Straits of Gibraltar and on to Lisbon. Leg 2,
Erstead, Emily Nagel, the famous Martine Grell gold medal winner, Luke Malloy, Antonio Fontes, Brad Ferrand, and the navigator, Roscoe Monson. We're going to just have a look at the race course here. The start down at the bottom of the screen. The breeze just from the right of that, so it's not. Don't think it's going to be upwind for the first leg. This is around the Bay of Alicante down to Mark 2. But there's plenty of puff on the race course, so it's going to be all on for young and old on board these boats. Round race Mark 4, then down towards the Alicante port. The crowds will get a fantastic view, and then Mark 5, and after that, it is off down towards Gibraltar, exiting the Mediterranean Sea. And the breeze is forecast to be at its strongest right there in Gibraltar. That down towards the islands of Madeira, around Porto Santo, and then it's back up north towards Lisbon, where they will arrive next Saturday. Nick Dana on the bow of Vestas 11th Hour Racing. Countdown, 5 seconds to go. This is it, 7 polished professional teams. 8 months of relentless racing, 12 cities, pushing every inch to win over 11 legs in brutal conditions. The gun is gone, and that is a great start. Hung Sun Kai, Scallywag, just to windward. 3 of the favourites here. Look at that. We've got the bowman there. That is Jackson Boutel. He is on the bow in the USA, and Newport, one of the stopovers, and he's showing really good early form here.
Yeah, he's got a lot more experience on the boat since last race, which, you know, now they sort of match as a group, I would say, and be really nice to watch them with their speed here, and if they can just cross the fleet. If they
manage to squeeze themselves around and leading around the first mark of this 2017-18 Volvo Ocean Race is Team Mapfre, giving the home fans something big to cheer about.
deliberately sailing with 8. Axel Nobel being forced to sail with 8 for this first leg.
Or they actually did an outside jibe, and it can be a cleaner maneuver.
And they were slow, so Team Brunel had to avoid them and go around the back of them. Oh, they just did a better job of getting their sails down, and maybe that conservative approach really paying off, but it is incredible.
Sees that.
Okay. Clean Seas turn the tide on plastic. Dee and her second to the top mark is Mapfre. Palo Arate. Red boat sandwich with Dongfeng race team to leeward and Mapfre to windward. Incredible. Only, yes, it looks like Mapfre and Team Brunel.
A big loss on this course. So
Spanish fans. Eyes of Brunel having to do the same thing. They've got to turn as well. Team Brunel on board.
We're going on the other board, guys.
Can't because turn the tide and plastic are in the way.
Okay, ready? Hold the course! Hold the course! Vision on the bow,
Don't touch them.
You can't go below!
Oh, close.
Under a drop, please! Stand by, drop! Yep, you're there!
Not entirely scheduled part of the race, that bit. We got the world's best great shot there. Nick Dana on the bow, Newport, Rhode Island resident. He is plugging in the...
Well, we just saw Storm Christ Scallywag roll over the top of the 11th Hour Race team, and it's a little bit crazy down here.
Give us the latest. Sally, Sally, just talk a couple of deep breaths from my co-commentator. It's great to have you here. Thanks so much, Sally.
We're on board NZ Extreme Sailing Team today. I have with me helmsman and co-skipper Chris Steel. Chris, we wanted you to talk through some of the features that make the GC32 so unique.
Yeah, there's obviously a couple of really key features which make this boat stand out to the naked eye of a lot of different boats. So the main one is obviously the foils which you see here. We've got in front of me the rudder. The rudder has two primary functions. Obviously the main one is actually steering the boat, so like a normal boat this controls the direction that you're pointing, and I'm always adjusting that. The difference though is this horizontal part of the rudder you see, which is the white wing shaped tip here. We've got, it looks sort of like a T, and that produces the lift in the boat. So we've got two sets of foils on this boat. One is the main foil at the front, which is shaped like an L, and then the rudder is shaped like a T, and between those two foils it gives the boat the right amount of power to lift up out of the water, just like an airplane takes off the ground, and it flies the boat basically. So we've got the bowman primarily controlling these two things, and they use the string line here, which I also have access to. We move the string line fore and aft, which adjusts this worm drive right behind me here, which also adjusts the cassette box on the back of the rudder, and so that changes the pitch of the boat. So we either fly with the bow up nice and high, or level, or stern up and bow down. So you know, that the guy at the front basically is very busy always adjusting those two things to try and get the boat flying as fast as possible and nice and high out of the water, trying to stop us from crashing back down into it.
Okay, so the rudder does half of it. Let's take a look. You just said the main foils, at how you guys control these main foils and what the system works like there.
The main foil here has got, again, two functions, but slightly different to the rudders. Most common function to use is the board up and down. So we adjust this every time we make a maneuver, when we tack or jibe. So we can change the depth of the board. The further down the board goes, the more lift it produces. But then also underneath here we've got a string line which adjusts the cassette box we've got here, and this is adjusting the angle, again changing the lift in the boat. So the further back this cassette box gets, the more lift it produces to help the boat take off out of the water. And then as we start getting faster and faster, we start taking the lift out so that we don't launch up out of the water and crash back down again. So again, you know, this is the bowman's job, and he's adjusting those two sets of foils to constantly try and get the boat flying level and fast.
Okay, and then a third complicated feature we have, you guys have the mast is rotating. So when do you use that? How do you rotate it, and why?
Yeah, so as you can see, the mast section is actually quite wide, and it's more of an airfoil shape. So we adjust this control line for the rotation of the mast back and forward, and that's just to control the angle that the wind enters the sail at. So the wind actually attaches onto the front of the mast, which is a little bit different to a normal boat where the flow attaches at the front of the sail. So in the lighter areas, we've got these string lines that we can adjust the rotation manually when we pull it out. Generally speaking though, the wind is strong enough to make the mast rotate on its own. So all we're doing is adjusting the angle of the mast to try and help the breeze attach at the front of the mast onto the sail and create a nice flow. The faster the flow goes across both of those sections, the faster we go ideally. So yeah, that's basically the three main key components of the boat.
Sounds complicated. Thanks so much.
Awesome.
With our spinnaker blowing up, but fortunately we'd already got ahead by then.
Tu sais ce que c'est un mini? Vous savez ce que c'est qu'un foil? Et ben avec Sierre, on a eu la bonne idée de faire un mini à foil pour voler.
Turn the beat up.
It's been fantastic to be here in San Diego for the Extreme Sailing Series. We're expecting some good conditions and extremely close, tight racing.
Beat up. Turn the beat up.
You cannot blink, ladies and gentlemen. This is live sailboat racing. Oh, big crash. Bill Robertson stomping around and making it messy. A great battle here. Linky trying to get over the top of Red Bull. Oh!
Listen to the crowd go wild here.
We showed everyone up today with how these boats should be sailed. We got 5 more days of the Extreme Sailing Series left, 1 more here in San Diego, and we've got to make sure we push hard tomorrow to extend the overall championship lead.
La décision pour évacuer le navire. C'est compliqué ça.
There is an unbelievable sense of excitement out in the water right now. We've got a bit of space on the start line, just enough for these boats to get off, but the water is ram-packed with spectators.
It's a pretty short course around the Bay of Alicante. This is it, 7 polished professional teams, 8 months of relentless racing, 12 cities, pushing every inch to win, over 11 legs in brutal conditions.
I mean, Sun Hung Kai Scallywag absolutely nailed that start. There is no question about David Witt.
To favourites, Team Mapfre looking very nice. They've managed to squeeze themselves around and leading around the first mark of this 2017-18 Volvo Ocean Race.
First leg at least. They're struggling at the back, but there is some problems on board Sun Hung Kai Scallywag, Conrad.
And they were slow, so Team Brunel had to avoid them. Change in the lead. Dongfeng race team, Charles Caudrelier, the skipper, they just squeezed ahead of Team Mapfre.
Charles Caudrelier has decided to hold up Bauerbecking and hold up Xavi Fernandez, and now Vestas 11th Hour Racing are coming in as well. Dongfeng had a bit of a shaky time at the top of the course, not a perfect set at all, and now they are being forced to fight dirty, but Team Brunel have proved resilient and they are going clear.
Wow, amazing. Alicante Dongfeng race team lead.
The other guy's coming as well. Yep, you're there.
No, it's tough scheduled part of the race, that bit. But hey, we got the world's best right here.
Well, the sea conditions are just starting to ease a little bit as we sail a little bit away from the shore and also out of the spectator fleet. And what will be abundantly clear going into their minds is that this race has only just begun.
I've spent my whole life racing, crossing the world's greatest oceans. But coming to race here, nothing prepares you for the sheer beauty of this course. From the start in Grand Harbor to the Strait of Messina, the volcanic island off Stromboli, and then the finish off Valletta. Incredible drama with breathtaking backdrops. This one's truly a classic.
Contract.